Guys, gals, and all other pals. I'm Jomo Fomo. Ain't no replacing Neuvillette. He's the best a man can get. It's time for personal opinions on the Hydro Dragon and how well he shaves your abyss times and other stuff. Since this is just me wanting to give my opinions, I'm going to assume you're already familiar with his general overall kit and whatnot. The first thing I want to talk about is his place in the meta. He is an on-field DPS unit. We have always learned and heard that the most important units are the S-tier supports in Genshin. But in my opinion, Neuvillette is the one on-field DPS that can be put into the highest tier along with those supports. For example, he has an upcoming banner with one of those S-tier supports, Kazuha. For a brand new or even relatively new account, I honestly think an argument can be made that Neuvillette would be the better pull for that account. I honestly can't imagine him being power crept by any other on-fielder within the next 2 years. At most, I think they could release a new character that is about on par with him. In my opinion, Neuvillette is as future-proof as many of the S-tier supports. His Kamehameha has the most ridiculous AoE coverage you could ask for, and he even has the spin to win technique to cover an even bigger 360-degree area. He can only be power crept if you release someone else with even more ridiculous AoE coverage and equal or better damage. But how do I feel about him being this strong? One of the things I truly enjoy about Genshin is the relatively small or slow amount of power creep that the game has. At least when we're talking about C6 4 stars and C0 5 stars. Neuvillette is obviously one of the larger examples of power creep we've had to date, but for me, I'm actually cool with it. A large part of why I'm cool with it is because lore-wise, it at least makes sense. In the game's lore, he is indeed the most powerful playable character we have. So if he's one of, if not the, most powerful gameplay-wise as well, I won't complain. It feels much better to me than something like, say, making a random book nerd the most powerful character gameplay-wise. You know what I mean? Moving on to Neuvillette's teams. He's honestly got so many different good teams. It's not like you have to have X, Y, and Z specific teammates in order to make him good, so his overall pool value is even better because of it. Let's just list off a few of them that I've tried and easily destroyed content with using my C0 Neuvillette with a prototype Amber. I remember I started off with Zhongli Fisho Kazuha. I've used Zhongli Kazuha Xiangling, although you need very high ER on Xiangling. Raiden Nahida Deya. I know that's something that Jeff likes using a lot as well. And just other variants with Beto, Layla, and I'm sure other anti-stagger units too. Who knows, maybe you can even use Geocrystallize as a form of anti-stagger even. And finally, the most popular team, Furina, Kazuha, and Baiju. Oh yeah, and his F2P weapon, Prototype Amber, already feels fantastic too. Of course it's not as much damage as his signature, but it's also kind of cool that it provides something that the signature doesn't, team-wide healing. Man, he even self-heals himself when he sucks up his balls. And there's even been numerous runs of him soloing the Abyss at C0. This man is just too ridiculous. To add even more on top of that, he has arguably the best C1 in the game when it comes to vertical investment. Well, I guess I consider Furina Cons to be the best actually, but anywho, not only do you get your third stack from your passive for a 28% damage increase, but you also erase his one weakness and become unstaggerable, allowing you to replace your anti-stagger unit with an even more damage-focused one. Honestly, if I were to ever actually grab C1 and activate it, I'd find it pretty fun to run with him, or to run him with like Furina Kazuha and Lisa running 2 prototype Ambers on the team. It'd be funny because it'd be another great Lisa team since she helps heal, provide defense shred, and also provide more swirl damage for Kazuha due to electro charged. But he's already too strong at C0, so probably not for me unless I just happen to randomly get him, because the 4 stars on his banner are ones that I also want to get on my account. Since he's been out, what do I think about him versus some of the other limited 5-star Hydro characters like Ayato, Child, and Nilou? Currently, I don't even have Ayato or Nilou. However, I do have a C1 Child that I've been playing for the longest time. I love the flow of playing Child International and its beautiful synergies amongst every member. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but my general advice for most people would probably be to skip Child for Neuvillette these days. At least if you're really meta-focused anyways. Still pull for him if you like him and just enjoy the playstyle. Like me. And honestly, I believe the same probably applies to Ayato and even Nilou too. And I consider Nilou to be a very strong pull. Okay, all the glazing aside, what do I think are some potential downsides other people might feel about him? I could see his absolutely dominating Kamehameha playstyle being boring to some. Sometimes, a lot of furious left-clicking with other characters feels more like you're doing something, you know? Gotta keep up that APM. And honestly, some people find characters that are too strong more boring due to lack of challenge. He might hit that threshold for some, kinda similar to how I am currently wanting to avoid broken support constellations. So, yeah, kinda similar thing there. Let's see, he's not a waifu for some. And of course, maybe his visual design doesn't do it for you. But I don't see any clear and obvious problems with it, for me at least. And yeah, I know, some of these downsides can seem kind of lame or tame, or kind of like how someone goes into an interview and says that their weakness is being too much of a perfectionist. Oh, and don't forget about his third normal attack voice line in English. I'm sorry, but I actually think it's pretty funny and a pro, not a con. But maybe you hate joy and happiness. And babies. Anyways, he's a super lore relevant character, which tends to increase a character's pool value for me. I honestly really enjoy the English voice actor as well. I think he did a fantastic job. He's even built up cool voice actor lore around him redoing all of his lines after seeing his lines in that particular Navia scene, which is yet another thing that only makes me want to pull for the character more. Ultimately, no matter what, it's hard for me to imagine someone truly regretting pulling for Neuvillette, because even if you end up finding him boring or too strong, you'll still probably whip him out when you need a fast and efficient easy clear of anything, ranging from domains, ley lines, early abyss floors, oh man, he's fantastic at those, and floor 12, you name it. If you found any of that interesting or entertaining, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.